I got this fabric out of the clearance section. Of course, being out of the clearance section, I got as much as was available, which was a yard and a quarter. Obviously from the clearance section, they're not going to be restocking it, so I just got as much as I could and made what I can with it. The pattern called for 1 3/4 of a yard, and this is a really nice either clearance rayon or viscose that I got at JoAnn's. I laid this out. I do think that this is gonna work. Here is where the pattern for the shorts parts ends, and I have it up just a little bit so I can get a little extra length on those shorts. And I still think that everything is gonna work, even though we're not using the recommended amount, we are using less because I flipped one of them upside down. It's a bi-directional fabric. Made a bit of a mistake and forgot to cut out a second pocket. So instead I did scrap together. I mean, this isn't bad. This is just a little bit of extra scrap for the inside of a pocket, so no one's gonna see that. I have my directions. Let's see if we can follow directions today. I'm trying to make pleat in front, on outside, crease along lines of small dots, bring crease to lines of large dots, based across upper edge. I think that I'm just gonna go and pinch in a little box pleat. Here, these two are the big dots, those two are the small dots. So I'm just marking a little line from A to B over here, going from A to B, and I don't know, that pleat explanation is simultaneously way too much information, yet does not actually explain anything. Gonna take pin in here, and I'm going right through the poke of the next one, going through the line, finding line over here, and that should be matching this line to this line exactly. In the line, see on this, here's the line, and I'm just a little bit too far over, so I'm just gonna scoot so I'm on that line. Adjust that right there. Here's the hole that I want to go through right here. Gonna poke through, come to this side, and poke right on through that hole. I'm gonna just baste down here, and then what I'm gonna press flat is just however this presses into the seam allowance up here. I'll figure it out, I'll get it on the machine, and I will let you know. Step 2, we are connecting front and back at the crotch. Well, technically the next step is to sew these two U crotch seams together, but because I have trouble with authority, instead I'm going to trim that down, and then I'm gonna do that for this side too. Iron it that away, and then iron it that away to encase the raw edge. The directions say to pink the seams to finish it, but once again, I apparently have issues with pattern authority. So we're just gonna do it this way. My seams did get a little bit convoluted though, because I thought that I could get everything sewn together and then tack the seams down, but I had seams within seams that didn't want to lay down quite nicely. Ultimately, I do admit the pattern was right and that you should finish the seams when it says to finish the seams. I just wouldn't finish the seams in the way that it suggests to finish the seams. Pat, pat. Pat, pat, pat. Okay, so here is the encased seam for the shorts part, and did my best to line up all the bars with the bars. Oh no, did I not do it right here? Oh no, I didn't do it right here. No. Just adjusting it a little bit to make sure all these bars are trying to line them up as much as I can. Scoot that up a little bit on the bottom. Tag you in let's take this over to sew it up. Okay, so I got the pocket sewn on and another layer of stitching to help the pocket lay extra flat. So now I was just like, okay, now it's gonna want us to sew up the sides and sew the pocket together with that. And yeah, that's correct. But also it's wanting us to sew starting from the top down around the pocket and then go up and then straight down, which I guess that makes sense. I don't recall a marking for this part though. I know I have the pocket pattern right here, so I know there is definitely not that little dot marking anywhere on this pocket. So where is the sew up to here dot coming from? I don't know. Step 6 is to turn pockets forward, front along seam lines, and press. We're not going to do that right now because we are not doing the pinked seams. We're going to move on to step 7, shoulder straps and facing with right sides together. Fold shoulder straps, done. Along fold line, done. Stitch leaving ends open. Alrighty. So with the facings, I cut them out on the fold actually, and now it looks like I'm going to have to take it in, you know, that 5/8 seam allowance in the middle. So I guess I kind of created more work for myself, but confusion happens sometimes. But you know what? I'm just gonna deal with it. Like here it's saying, hey, sew up to that black dot and then leave that open, and then just, it looks like this might just be the fact that I started sewing with quilts. This looks like it's way overcomplicating things. Stitch front facing to back facing at sides, done. Finish untouched edge of facings. We're gonna get to that in a second. Pin facing to garment matching the centers and side seams. Stitch upper edge leaving back open between small and large dots, which is gonna be like right here. It just wants an opening to put in the to-be guy. What step are we on? Okay. I'm still orange. Why am I still orange? Hey, I'm not orange anymore. We have completed step 13. I think before I expressed how I didn't like that it was telling me to sew up to a certain point, which it estimates as about 5/8 of an inch. I assume it's to make turning easier. I don't like that. I would rather sew all the way up and clip, because one thing that we had an issue with is when I was sewing at the 5/8 seam allowance, I have like 1/4 of a centimeter to 1/2 centimeter of just a little hole where it doesn't quite meet. And if I had not sewn up to that point, it would have just allowed for that 1/2 centimeter max room margin of error. My next thing that I'm just trying to up my sewing game, so the fact that it's saying, hey, just clip the seams and turn it in at the facing instead of understitching, I want to be more dedicated to the understitching and better seam finishes than the pinking, so I am challenging myself to do that. I'm not sure if I would say this is better for a beginner than somebody who is trying to level up their skills a little bit past beginner like me. I'm going to iron in the seam allowance towards the facing, then I'm gonna understitch it, and then I'm gonna move on to the step 14 where I turn the facing in and attach the straps to the holes left open in the back. Just because of how the facing was cut, it did make it relatively difficult to understitch higher than here. As you can tell so far, extremely flattering if you are going for that Easter picnic plastic bag look. I have not attached the straps to the back part yet, so I could technically lower this down a little bit. It's on the verge of being crotchy, So maybe if I wanted to make like a looser pajama next time, I would have the torso expanded by like 1/2 inch. Right now, I think that if I lower the straps down, it will be a little bit too booby. Yeah, I need to sew in these straps, and then I need to hem the bottoms and just finish off all these inside seams. I did make the shoulder straps about 1 inch longer than the pattern suggests, and I think that it's great for wearing pajamas, wearing out in the garden, and wearing to the lake with everybody else in my pole class who's already seen my boob pop out in class anyways, so it's nothing that they're not used to seeing. I'm fine wearing a crop top or a bralette under it, so it's like it's a fashion statement. The girls do pop out. And I just wanted you to see the inside reel here. Here's that facing with the understitching right there. As you can see, it only goes up to about right here. So all this part of the triangle, that's not tacked down. It so far hasn't been too much of an issue, but here it's just so much neater to have that understitching tack down, especially at that point. That point, if we did not have the understitching, would get all bunchy and ruffly, and it's not great. Here we have that kind of tacking down. As you can see, this is fraying a little bit up, but it's still being kept down pretty well with that tacking. We have that fold over seam finish right here, and that's tacked down. It looks really good in my opinion. And this is just that from the other side. Here you can see little teeny tiny marks where that's tacked down, but that's almost invisible. Like here in that pink, there's one tack right there in that blue. It's barely visible, and it looks really good, if I do say so myself. It's hot. I feel like I'm giving off, you know, overgrown toddler vibes, but maybe art teacher. Fabric was about $10, pattern was about $2. That's so far a $12 project in materials. Other significant factor is in labor. I do not know how long I worked on this. I would just say, quote, a day. Haley Marie Vintage uses $25 an hour as her labor metric, which is in Seattle, very appropriate. I'm going to bump that down to $20 because I live in Little Rock. So saying I did an 8-hour work day at $20 an hour, the labor cost would be $160, meaning that this is a $172 outfit. But also thinking that I have pajamas that are worth $175. I'm pretty solidly in my trophy wife phase, aren't I? Final product, very comfortable, not particularly flattering. I did eat a bunch of cheese at the lake, get very bloated, and this would make a very cute early maternity romper. Me and my friend Melissa, we were talking that maybe it would be cuter or more flattering if we slimmed down the torso a little bit, made it a little bit more fitted, but she's got a butt, so I'm not sure how you would slim it down and still be able to get it up over your butt. I enjoy the final product. The pattern was pretty easy, would probably recommend it to beginners. I'm just not necessarily gonna pick this pattern back up unless I wanna make the bathrobe portion anytime soon. But what are your final thoughts? Please leave that down below with any questions, comments, or concerns. New videos should be up on Fridays. Not every Friday though, so I would hit like, subscribe, and that little bell icon so you know when I actually do post if I were you. Thank you so much for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Stop. No, that's a mole. You can't scratch the mole off. That is attached to you. Oh my goodness, you sleepy little kissy girl. I need you to stop. I need you to stop though. Please.